All right. So I have some people here I don't recognize, but maybe you change your names or something. Layla? Okay. I don't know. Okay, everybody's here. So the first thing I wanted to start with is a discussion of our issue of the Osprey. So first, the editors maybe can give us um, a few words on what you thought. How do you thought the issue panned out? Um, so um, uh, so the editors from this past issue were
Oh, the past issue?
yeah, the latest one.
Oh, um, yeah, it was me and Andrew. I don't know.
Okay. So what did you think? How did it pan out?
I think it panned out really well. I think we got like basically almost all of them published.
Yeah.
And like with the edits, everything turned around really well. And I was really proud of it. And there were like a lot of different ideas as well.
Mhm.
Nothing was too similar.
Yeah. Andrew, what did you think?
It was a lot of fun, honestly, especially this late in the semester to see that how far we've all come along. And like Maya said, we had so many stories published, and it was a wide range of stories. It was great work, and it was really fun to put together.
Mhm. We didn't have any issues with the fact checking either, right? Like pretty much everything checked. All right, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Basically everyone that we spoke to was honestly they were thrilled with the fact that we were fact checking to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and make sure you guys send it to like the people you source because a lot of them did say like send me it, tell them to send me it when it's published and everything. Definitely share your work.
Yeah. 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 I'm happy, and yeah, I think I should be proud. I mean, we're working under very weird, unusual conditions. So I think that making this extra effort and publishing whatever we're publishing under the conditions that we're doing it is I mean, it takes a lot to report. It takes a lot to do all the work that we're doing to make this happen. So I'm happy about it. um, Louis, do you have any words about this? You want to say something about it, or um,
I mean, I think it was a great issue. As I mentioned, I believe last class, everybody's been improving quite a bit, and I think last week really showed that, especially with the amount of articles we published.
yeah, yeah, and we did it on time. I think that one or two, maybe, I don't know, one or two articles um, had to be published a little bit later, finessing a couple of things after the fact. But overall, I think we did a good job. Even those articles that didn't get published, I think that they had a bunch of things going, maybe a missing angle, perhaps, but overall, I think that everybody did a, a, a really good job above their pay grade. So I'm happy with that. So I wanted to discuss final issue. I know that everybody's just like we're entering, I think, the fourth week of the quarantine. Pretty much everybody's um, having one type of issue or the other, being with your family or being alone, or um, making it very hard to like I don't know, do basic reporting, trying to keep things normal, but like things are not normal. So um, I want to hear first from the editors of the final issue. How do you think things are coming along, and where can we help you out, like improve whatever that may be needed to improve the communication or I don't know, processing or anything that you think we could improve. So let us like take it over, Josh or Rabia.
Okay. So far, I'm actually pretty surprised and happy with the amount of unique pitches we got. We didn't have a lot of clashes, which made our jobs easier, and I feel like it's going to make your jobs easier as well. Everyone has everyone has a main focus, and everyone has something they actually care about. So I feel like it's going to be better in a sense that we're not pushed towards a subject, but everyone got to choose what they're more interested in. So I'm excited to see what everyone's gonna put in. And we have a soft deadline for this Friday, but if you have any issues or if you need any guidance, you could always reach out to us. Like, we're always here to help you out.
Sam, you're raising your hand there.
Soft deadline for pitch. What is the soft deadline this Friday for again?
The soft deadline is to just show us what you've been working on so far, like a very rough draft.
Yeah, you should probably try to have a first draft as soon as possible, Sam, because the more complete your story is, the better guidance we can give you, or like give you extra sources. I mean, I was telling section 1 that some of your stories I may have extra sources to share with you, right? Like extra people, like either experts or characters that I can share with you. But we need to know where your story is going and where you're at before we actually can improve on that. So that's why we have a soft deadline right there, to see that you are already were able to produce most of the work or some of the work, and you're on track, right? What do they need to deliver for the soft deadline, guys?
We're gonna send out an email today that has more detailed information about the soft deadline. And also we've picked some editors and some fact checkers and line checkers. So, I mean, line editors. So be on the watch out for that. If you have a role, we will be making like a group chat to keep in check, to keep up with you guys. So yeah, just be aware that we'll be sending out an email today.
Yeah, so that's so Maya and Cindy are going to be working on a Slack channel. We are all going to be in it, so we can keep track of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So any other is anybody having any issues with that soft deadline, or the production process for your final issue?
I'm just worried about getting full 10 sources for this Friday, because I have been contacting people, and I'm working on the impact on EMTs and their work. And getting the EMTs' perspectives are not a problem, but getting some like experts' knowledge, like EMT trainers, might be a little challenging.
Okay, so you don't need the story to be fully developed by Friday, right? You can actually have a DC graph here on like this is going to be an expert on this, etc., etc. As long as it has the bones and the structure, right, and you have like most of the elements in place, or many of the elements in place, you're okay. If you're missing extra sources or informants, maybe that's not a big deal. Yeah, Josh.
Yeah, I'd just say the soft deadline is essentially to see where everybody's at. It's not a requirement for like the entire story to be finished. And additionally, just to include at least a description of the multimedia elements, if not a draft of those as well. But additionally, in that email that we're going to send out, we're just going to suggest that as soon as you get started, to share the Google Doc with us, just so we can keep tabs on everybody, and then we can sort through everything. So.
Yes, Sam.
Do you just want the Google Doc of the draft, or the maybe the Google Doc where I'm keeping the note, like just the notes.
The draft is fine.
Okay.
Any other questions? Is everybody on track? Is everybody like, how is everybody feeling? Yeah, James.
It's just the two multimedia elements seem a little stressful. Like my past piece, I wasn't able to get good audio, and I somehow made it through with a sound card or a sound slide. But for this project, I think I'm gonna have the same problem, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna be able to get around that for getting audio.
So have you tried asking for sound bites early on?
I should do that, but I haven't.
Okay, so that's the first thing. I mean,
Mhm.
you all heard and you all tried, and you all seen like that people do it. Like if you have cultivated a source and you talk to someone enough, they are usually gentle and kind enough to actually send you a voice memo if you ask one or two questions, right? First, don't overwhelm people with like 20 questions because like, oh, you need to answer 20. First, it's difficult to answer so many questions and tape yourself and then send the 20 like M4As or MP3s. It's a lot of work. But if you ask for a reasonable, like, I don't know, send me 1 minute, I'm ask you on one question, right? Answer this question. If you're reasonable and you know that early enough, like you can send that and then like bug them once, twice until you get it. So it shouldn't be too. I mean, if you tackle this with enough time, and you know where your story is at, like if you have a first draft of your story by Friday, Saturday this week, you know what your multimedia requires. You can actually send those questions right away, and then you'll have the audio to edit. Yeah.
And you want it to be 1 minute and 20 seconds like the last one, right? Per
I think
element.
this could be you could actually expand a little bit more. You can have 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes if you want. That's not going to be a problem. It's a longer piece, right? So you can add a couple multimedia elements. You can use audio to I don't know, to run under B-roll video and then just create a video doing that. Josh did a really good job last issue, I think, with a bunch of like screen captures and screen video too. So I mean, you have to try to be as resourceful as possible. We're not gonna get like video from outdoors or from inside of a hospital, like for the most part, like maybe some of you do. But if given the fact that I'm assuming that nobody is going to go into an emergency room at this point, I'm not requiring that. I mean, the story would be different if you were my journalist and I was your editor, right? Like, but you're my students and I'm responsible for your well-being too, right? So if I were your editor and you were working for me, I would push a little bit more. Maybe I will make sure that everybody has gear, etc., and you would be sent into the world. But under the conditions we're working right now, everybody's very limited. So I'm not assuming that everybody will be able to go out. I'm assuming that most of you won't be able to go out. But that doesn't prevent you from outreaching, getting audio, video, or like even interviews via Skype, or even asking for video from a third party that you can actually include as part of your own project, right? Or screen captures, etc., etc. All those things are game at this point. So try to be resourceful and think where's your footage coming from, where you can actually source yourself, who you can ask, right? Even past events or stuff that happened in the past, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you want, whatever you think is viable. Yep. All right. Any other questions or concerns? Sam?
Well, I guess I don't know what saying it will do, but it's just that I'm worried about the Friday deadline because I'm trying. I want to interview not just the caretakers of the developmentally disabled people, but at least one person I know through synagogue whose roommate in a group home recently died, and I think it will take a bit longer to to build his trust. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Um,
Or I also, my aunt who's also developmentally disabled, I need to ask someone whether it's I need to convince someone to let me sit in on one of the Zoom support groups.
um,
Unless you think I'm being too ambitious.
no, I think it's more than doable. Like a week's time it's a lot. Like the thing is, like you're not going to be able to cultivate a source um, for too long. I mean, you can talk to them if you haven't started already, but the deadline in your head should be very clear. I mean, this is soft deadline, so you're not necessarily going to have all the elements, but see what elements you can get for Friday or Saturday, and what are the elements that you think they will take a little bit longer, right? So choose what can you. I mean, the structure has to be there. Some of the sources has to be there. The framing certainly has to be there, right? You need to know what you're writing about and why you're writing that. Those things have to be there. But you don't need all the sources, and you certainly don't need all the main characters, right? You may want one or two, and then you can actually change them in order, etc. But yeah, I mean, choose what you think you can achieve, and make sure that you achieve that by Friday, and then move everything else to your second deadline, right? Does that make sense, Sam?
I guess I mean, so try to take some time to set up the longer term, the ones for the second deadline, but then once you've talked to them, focus on sources that you can get back, and sources and documents that you can get to quicker.
Yeah, so try to have the structure and the framing of the story ready, right? Like try to have them finished, and get as many sources as you can, even if they're not the main sources. But try to source yourself. Don't wait until you have one person to contact the next one, right? Like reach out to as many people as possible, and follow all the potential like leads that the story is giving you, right? Don't wait. That's the thing. I mean, like the best way to beat that stress, I guess, is to just like move into action, right? Instead of thinking about it, just doing stuff. It's gonna relieve you of a lot of stress. Any other comments and questions, guys? How's everybody holding up? Good, Claudia, you're good?
May or
Decent,
may
I
not have
guess.
the virus.
Yeah, no virus yet.
Okay.
I may have it, so I'm living life.
Oh,
Who's
chilling.
that?
Andrew.
Oh, Andrew,
Everybody,
you think you may have it?
Yeah, my mother's being tested today.
praying for you, buddy.
Yeah.
This is a lot. I'm basically fine. I woke up with a small fever, but that's my mother's had it pretty bad.
I'm sorry to hear, but take care of yourself. Eat well and drink a lot of water.
Yeah, I've been drinking a lot of water. I'm basically fine, and but thank you.
And everybody else, in terms of, I see James drinking water there, following the advice. So how's everybody else holding up? How's the quarantine treating you?
Mm. Being stuck for over 4 weeks at home is not exactly the most favorable situation, but
Yeah, it's not ideal, right?
yeah.
Maya, you were saying something, but we couldn't hear you.
Oh no, I was speaking to my father.
Oh, speaking of which, like doing this work with your family around must be tough too, right? I guess.
Dad was a journalist in college, so
Oh,
he actually had.
Okay, well, that's a good that's a positive there.
My mom is actually the one who gave me the idea for my final story. So
cool.
she's helped me out pretty
Oh yeah, mine. That was mine too. Well, by telling me about the member of the congregation from a group home who had died. I still need to figure out whether he died of coronavirus.
Well, I mean that's important, right? But
Yeah.
I'm sorry for your loss to begin with, but
I feel more sorry for his roommate. They were like always together.
Oh yeah.
They both came to synagogue every Saturday. They were probably the most dedicated attendees.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a really interesting community angle too. How everybody else is feeling their loss, right?
Oh, actually, I have a quick tidbit for fellow students. The counseling center is doing like weekly logs, I guess. Like they're taking any sort of like creative aspect, whether it's art. Mom, not right now. Whether it's art, writing, or anything like that. They're trying to start like a collective journal. So anyone that wants to like write or like do something for them can send it in. I think they meet on like Tuesdays at 2 and 7 to like discuss what they sent in, or like people can discuss what they wrote or what they drew. So anyone like has a certain perspective on what it's like in quarantine can send that to them. If they want the link, I can share it as well.
Okay, that's a good idea. Anyway, so guys, I'm gonna let you continue working on your stories, and if you have any questions regarding sourcing or James, let's try to avoid using expletives in the chat. Thanks. So if anybody has any questions regarding sources or well, you're moving into your story and you think that you're missing something, you can consult with Louis and I. Of course, first touch base with your editors because they will give you good guidance. But you can still discuss stuff with us, right? And hopefully everybody will make it to the first soft deadline with some interesting stuff, and you'll be able to consolidate after that. Maya, yeah.
So I sent the email out about the Slack channel. So after this class, I guess, can you guys join it? And basically you get access to general, random, and the section channels. And then I will add you to the specific channel that you're also going to be a part of. But that's once you join. So just make sure to try to join today.
I get what it's for.
Yeah, you were asking what it's for?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple of tasks that are collective and have to be managed as a group. For instance, fact checking, line editing, etc., etc. So if you haven't been assigned a task or multimedia editing, right? If you haven't been assigned a task, you may have to like perform a certain task other than your own story, right? Because we're producing something for everybody, right? So everybody has to contribute a little bit extra this time around. So editorial tasks that may fall on you, like fact checking someone else's piece or line editing someone else's piece, depending on what editorial team, sub-editorial team you belong to, you are in. So that's the Slack channel for. And Maya, did you send this to the editors on section 1?
Yeah, I sent it to anyone in section 1 and section 2. So it's like,
all right.
and a math email.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, any questions or thoughts? No? Yes, editors, final.
I have
Jay.
a question real quick. So you want 2 multimedia elements. One of them is a graphic, right? Along those lines?
I want 2 multimedia elements. One should be video or slideshow, and the other one, I think I suggested it would be audio. Then you can
Okay.
add graphic, because remember that we talked about graphic as not being. So I didn't really technically. I took it out, the unit of graphics, right? So anything that you do graphic wise is
Extra credit.
extra credit. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So with video plus an audio, how would those differ from each other? I know, like, if we do a video slideshow or a picture slideshow, what's the difference between that and an audio?
So there's a good example in the Osprey now. Nikki Nasiri did a story on the parks that are I think on Suffolk or the entire Long Island that are closing on a case per case basis, and she did a audio interview, right? So it was an audio postcard, but in the video she showed how people were still not respecting the social distancing thing.
Okay.
So she has both a video that is showing one aspect of the story, right? Social distancing and how people are not respecting that. And the audio in which somebody's talking about the park closures, et cetera, et cetera. So there's 2 different elements, add a different type of unit content or content, and deliver a different type of information. And they're both useful and they don't overlap. So I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I see. Because
yeah.
No, yeah, I get it. Because I used to do for all my stories I've done with the slideshow, I put the audio in the background of the pictures or the video. So I didn't realize
No,
we
would
could
still
put them
that would
separately.
still be the case. So you would
Okay, gotcha.
need an
Wait,
audio.
what? Oh, sorry.
So it's if we put the audio and the video together, that would count as the 2?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, okay.
So, no, I mean one audio piece, like purely audio, like an audio postcard, and then a separate video piece that does something else, right? Like.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Gotcha.
Check Nikki's piece there.
Yeah, I was just looking at it. Yep.
Yeah. Sam, you were asking
you.
a question, or?
No, it got answered. I was like, wait, never mind. Doesn't matter. It got answered.
Okay, don't freak yourself out. It's business as usual for the most part. All right. Any other final comments, questions, guys? Louis, any suggestions or ideas, and then we go.
I guess just keep working on your stories. I mentioned this to the editors before in a meeting, but make sure you're on top of your multimedia. Last semester for our final project, 2 of the stories ended up falling through, and one person had a miscommunication, so we ended up only having 1 video when we were supposed to have 4. So we published, like, I think 5 slideshows, 4 audio postcards, and then 1 video, and it just wasn't a great look. So for now, try and make sure that doesn't happen again. Make sure you're on top of your multimedia, etc.
All right, thanks, Louis. Yeah, that makes sense. So be careful. Like, so when you're producing, again, we were talking to Sam about it. Like, start early on asking for if you need a voice or you need audios from your sources, ask early on for voice memos, etc., right? Like, plan ahead. Like, don't leave it until the last minute, because like people are not going to respond last minute. Okay. All right. Good to see you all. I'll see you again on Wednesday, and stay safe and stay sane too. Okay. Bye,
You
guys.
too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.